Hello, and welcome to Addicted Like Us, a podcast discussing all things written by Krista and Becca Ritchie. I'm your host, Haley, and today I have Sarah, aka Dragonfly Reads, with me to talk about Fuel the Fire, Book 8 in the Addicted series. To clarify, this is part 2 of the Fuel the Fire podcast discussion, so make sure you listen to part 1 before you jump into this one. As a quick recap, I'm Haley, a longtime reader and lover of Krista and Becca's work. I'm also a part-time illustrator, and I had the privilege of working on the special edition covers for the Leica series. Now, I just love to spend my time talking about all my favorite books, aka anything written by Krista and Becca. So the Addicted Like Us podcast was created so I could sit down with friends and discuss all of our thoughts. So let me reintroduce you to Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah, Dragonfly Reads. I have been reading Krista and Becca Ritchie since 2014. And I've always been obsessed with their books and their growth and their characters' growth. And it's just been a great time. So I'm happy to discuss Fuel the Fire Part 2 today.
Yeah, you'll have to, all the listeners will have to forgive us because there's been a big break between recording.
Our hair might be a little bit longer.
Hair might be a little longer. My background's a little different right now. There was a break. I burned myself out with those first couple of months of podcasting. It's a lot. Yeah, but
especially
it's so
if you're editing everything, and these are really, really long sessions. So
they are, and I seriously appreciate you and every other guest that has wanted to sit down and just talk for a long time about these. It's fun, but it is a lot of work. Yeah.
It's so fun. You don't even realize 3 hours just passed. Holy crap. Yeah. It's getting dark out. You don't even realize.
My dog's whining for dinner. Oops. So sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So a couple of things before we dive into the podcast. We're going to be talking about Fuel the Fire. So spoiler warning, if you haven't read Fuel the Fire, please don't listen because you're going to be spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
As a quick recap of what has happened so far. This is the second Rose and Connor book. At this point, they have kind of decided that, how was it? It was basically that the media had this untrue story that Maximoff Hale is not actually Lo's son, that it's Reich's son with Lily. And that's just so damaging to so many people. So Connor took it upon himself to feed the media a different story so that that Celebrity Crush, I believe was the publication, wasn't going to post this article discrediting the paternity test that proved that Maximoff was Lo's son, all of that. But because they're still very much in the public eye, and now Rose and Connor have a child as well, Jane, it's how are they going to handle the media presence in their children's lives as well? So they've decided that they want to kind of play this, or they're going to continue to feed these fake stories to the media.
They're going to continue to fuel the fire.
Yes, they have stoked the flames, and they're going to continue to do so.
Yes. Feed the media, give them what they want so that they can stay off of Maximoff and Lily and Lo.
Right.
And even though they're damaging their own potential, they're potentially damaging their careers and their livelihoods, they will do that for their love of Lily and Lo and Maximoff.
Yes. Just, oh God, I love these two so much. I know. They just love so passionately and are so fierce and protective of their small knit group of loved ones, but they will protect those very fiercely. So at this point, the things that they've done is Connor and Rose got caught. Connor went down on Rose in a parking lot.
Very first chapter.
Yes. And then Rose attempted to dye her hair blonde, and it was more of an orangey color.
We basically just passed that scene.
Yes. Yeah. So we are going to be, we're going to be picking up with, it was Rose and Connor playing chess in their bedroom one night. And I'm thinking it's so funny now because I was like, you know what? This is the year of the Cobalt Empire. I'm going to teach myself how to play chess. So I downloaded chess.com.
Ooh, I like that. I
It's
mean, it's
hard.
a good brain game. My son likes it. My son likes to play it. My dad likes to play it. It's like their
Yeah.
thing, but it's hard for sure.
I'm yeah, I'm just going through the tutorials now and I'm sitting here like, oh my God, Rose and Connor are so smart because I
I
barely remember
know.
the rules of the pieces.
They're just so well rounded.
I know, truly. They are like magical superheroes. They would roll their eyes at that. Lily would be like, yeah, you're 100% right. But
Yeah, exactly. Lily knows. Lily knows.
Lily knows.
She understands.
Yeah. But so basically, Rose and Connor are playing chess in the bedroom one night. And it's more than just chess. And it's like this truth or strip game
Yeah.
where if you claim a piece, you either have to strip or tell a truth. Connor's goal is to get Rose naked, and Rose's goal is to get Connor naked, but like emotionally.
Right. Bear it all. She
Yeah.
wants him to bear it all.
And they're not. So it's like every time they claim a piece, Rose is giving a truth and Connor is stripping, and it's like no one's actually getting what they
Right.
want right now.
No. It's so funny. Like their banter is just next level. I mean, this book is so old, but it's just
Oh, I know.
just so next level. It's so good.
Yeah. So they're playing this game, they're not getting what they want. Connor decides he's gonna up the ante and basically agrees that like, all right, fine. If you get one of my pieces, I'll tell you a truth automatically. If
Yes.
you get and then you have to strip. Like that's the rule. We want what we want. I'm gonna get what I want. So when Connor does lose one of his pieces, he admits that the first time he had sex, he was good at it, but he actually hated it. And then when Connor gets one of Rose's pieces, she takes off her robe. And when it's his truth again, he talks about like how he was so good at porn, at sex because he watched porn. And when he brings that up, it reminds Rose of the fact that they have their sex tapes out there. And that's just a really touchy subject. That was the thing that we also forgot to cover was so all 6 characters are living in a house together in this gated neighborhood, and they just got a new neighbor.
He still lives there right now. God, there's so much to cover.
I know, every time I try and like recap, I'm like, I feel like I have to redo the episode prior because there are just so many details that I can't skip out on.
And we're
But yeah,
really only a third into the book.
yeah. Part of that recap, yeah, Scott Van Wright is currently living in the neighborhood across the street from the house that the Corsicks are living in right now.
That was Rose's dream house.
Yes. Yeah, she wanted to move in there eventually. So the whole thing is like Scott, like obviously the sex tapes were already out there, but now that Scott is like very much in their face, that's like very front and center. And when they had confronted him about being in this house, Rose had been very upset over like just mentions of this sex tape. And Connor now realizes like he had thought at one point that they had kind of put it past him.
Mm-hmm.
He's managed to build his business off of this whole idea that like he knows women and he knows diamonds and all of that. And Rose is putting on this front that she's over it, but she's really not. And
No,
Connor
it's a very, very sensitive subject.
Connor's kind of, he's realized that at this point. And so when it's his turn next, his truth is I could live with the sex tapes for the rest of my life and never feel an ounce of pain from their existence. And all this time you've made me believe that you could too, but I can see that's not true because of her yelling at Scott that night. And it's just like, it's so hard because then he's like, it's okay, Rose, that it was a normal reaction for you to have. And she's like, you just call me normal. That's not a compliment from you.
Oh my God.
And
yeah,
like,
I mean, because Rose is like, even if something mundane or normal happens between them, it's something that would be like extraordinary for them.
yes, yes. And normality is just, it's very much, they're above it. And
I'm calling you human. Your reaction is a normal one because she says, "Are you calling me weak?"
yes, yeah, that's the whole thing is she's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I can't, you've noticed that I can't handle it. And it sounds like you're saying that I'm weak and you're not. And I don't like that. We are the same and I am strong. You're strong. I'm strong.
Connor Cobalt is never weak. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. But then Rose clarifies that it's more the idea that she hates that Scott is the one that has the sex tapes. He's the one that gets to control, because he's sitting on a bunch of them. He's released several at this point, but
Right.
they know there's more. They don't know how many more are
And it's
left.
like a ticking time bomb.
Yeah. Yeah. And she just does not like that Scott's the one that has the power right now, which nobody likes Scott having power.
One funny thing in the beginning of this chapter was the chandelier rattling.
Yes, I have that.
And Reich and Daisy are above them having sex on the roof. And Cotter says, well, dogs need to be let out sometimes. He's such a dick.
He is. Oh God, I was taking notes for a chapter later, but like Connor and Reich's relationship is just, it's something else. But yeah, he's addicting.
Yeah, I love the turnover of their relationship later on.
But yeah, so Reich and Daisy, they're enjoying the fact that they are together, and you know what? If they want to be up on the roof,
yeah,
okay, yeah,
good for them.
So then, while they're continuing to play this chess game, Connor, and that Rose clarifies, like, it's more that I don't like that Scott has the sex tapes. Because Scott's the one with the power. We don't like that. Connor is like, all right, if this truly is what's making you upset, then we'll find justice this way, and we'll figure out a way to remove Scott from the equation here.
Right.
We already wanted him gone anyway, but like we'll figure out a way to get those sex tapes away from him. So then Connor moves one of his chess pieces, which is kind of like a dumb move, but so like Rose can steal, like, God, Rose can claim one of his pieces. That's fine. He'll give a truth, but then it also means that he gets one of Rose's pieces, and then he can pick which. No, he can get one of her pieces, and all that's really left on her body is like she's wearing like some one-piece lingerie or something like that.
Negligee, yeah.
Yeah, and that means that's coming off next. She's like down to her last couple of clothing items. They're about to have sex, but Connor puts the pawn on her stomach and then tells her not to move. And he's going to go leave the bedroom for a second. And Rose is like, I'm going to stay still. I am Miss Highest Honors, A+ student. I can absolutely not move while Connor just goes somewhere without telling me. And it like devolves into like, what the fuck? Why did he leave?
Right.
He's just left me here bare. I thought we were about to do something. So she's like, fuck it. She gets out of bed, exits the bedroom, and he is waiting right outside, and he's got his like watch up timing.
Took you long enough.
It was a minute. It was 60 seconds. But the sweet thing about like the whole thing was like, I didn't know how long you'd be gone. You just left me there. And his answer is, I will always return to you, which is the entire point of that little test he gave her, to trust that Connor will always come back to her.
Yeah.
So then chapter 15 is Reich is about to babysit Jane and Moffy for the day. And Rose is noting how like carefree Reich is with Moffy. He like tosses him up in the air.
Right.
And she's like, OMG, please, not with my baby. Don't be throwing my child around. But since Lily and Rose are like returning to work after their maternity leave, they don't have anybody to really take care of the kid. Like, no nannies, no official babysitters. It's Reich and Daisy.
They don't have a staff for them.
Yes, that's the word. So, and there's this whole thing of like, they grew up with nannies too, and they're not necessarily sure that that's kind of the life that they want their kids to have.
Right.
So it's mostly Reich and Daisy playing babysitter for the kids when they have to go into work. And Rose does remember that Connor has, so like, we're over here talking about how like Connor makes fun of Reich and like gotta let the dogs out. But at the same time, Connor has a lot of trust in Reich that he can take care of his kid.
Right. And Connor wouldn't do that for just anyone.
Absolutely not. No. So it really does mean something that he's like, yeah, absolutely. He can watch my child.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It is so funny because Reich, well, he's like, we've been over this. If you don't want me cursing around your baby, then don't fucking let me babysit. But no matter what, Reich is such a good person and cares so deeply for everyone around him and those kids, and he would never let anything bad happen to them.
Absolutely not.
But it's just hard for them to let go and trust this person that they see as so carefree and lackadaisical, but really Reich is the opposite.
Yeah. Oh, no, he's so
It's like it's a
vigilant.
persona.
Yes. Yes. He's very aware.
Hmm.
Like, he's carefree, but it's not mindless carefree
Right.
nature. He's very, like, he knows
He
what he's
still has
doing.
like eyes and ears on everything.
Yeah. And he's also like a climber. His whole job is physically with his body. So like he trusts himself when he's throwing Mafi up in the air. He's like, I
Right.
trust my body
Right. Exactly.
implicitly to catch this child as he comes down. Like,
Right.
no question. Um, so Rose eventually is like, all right, fine, watch my kid. And she goes into the Haleco offices because she's going to be working with Haleco on this baby product line.
Hmm.
She's going to design baby clothes for them. But she's like really annoyed with the chief quality officer because he is like telling the board that like they want final say on the name of the brand
Hmm.
and like the logo and everything. And it's just
Right.
like they're clashing. And they're more like stuffy old men. And she's this younger woman coming in.
Right. And she wants it to be upscale, but they want it to be like baby family friendly.
Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
So they're kind of butting heads and she's just running into a ton of roadblocks that aren't letting her implement her vision. So this guy leaves and then this very attractive woman comes into the Rose's office and Rose is over here like, I can't believe this woman is Lowe's executive assistant. She's like, if I didn't believe that Lowe loves Lily like
Right.
beyond everything else, I'd be a little worried right now.
Right. She would be the woman someone would cheat on their spouse with.
Yes, but like I think it's funny because I feel like if it were in any other book and it was like, yeah, I work with this beautiful woman day in and day out, I'd be like, there'd be some part of me that'd be like, oh my God, it's just like it stresses me out a little bit. But like in this world, I'm like, Lo loves Lily. He doesn't love anybody else. This would
Flo
never
does not give
happen.
anyone a second glance at
Absolutely
all.
not.
And
No.
and I just love it because Lily is just so awkward and
She's like,
tiny and
yes.
she's not a bombshell by any means.
Right.
But no matter what, Lo only has eyes for Lily.
But to Lo, she is a bombshell.
Right, exactly. But to
Yeah.
us, she's just an ordinary girl.
Yeah. So she's Rose is trying to relate to this assistant. Her name is Hannah, and she's like, this woman Hannah's coming in and being like, Lo wants to talk to you, and Rose is like, you don't have to run these errands for Lo. He can call me himself. Like,
Hmm.
I don't want you wasting your time. And Hannah's over here like, this is my job. Like, I want to be doing this.
Right.
And Rose is like, well, what are your aspirations? You don't want to be a secretary your whole life. And
Right.
she's like, I'm an executive assistant.
But what do you want to do when you grow up? This can't be your end game.
Yeah. And to this woman, like, yes, this is endgame. I am executive assistant. I'm like, this is a fantastic role. And Rose
Right.
is like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. And then also Hannah accuses, she's like, well, we can't all just like sleep our way to the top. I was like, oh, cool. That is definitely not going to get you on Rose's good side.
No, 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 no.
So at this point, they're like feeling a little hostile towards each other and they're standing in front of Lo's office. And Lo comes out to see what's going on. And immediately Hannah tattles on Rose. She's like,
Yeah.
she just insulted my job. And Rose is sitting here like, what the fuck? Trying to get me in trouble.
Well, yeah, because she's like, not everyone can sleep their way to the top. Rose says, you can't talk to me like that. And Hannah says, I don't work for you.
Yeah.
So I could talk to you however you want.
Right.
No, bitch. Do you know who you're talking to?
It's just like they are essentially like figureheads. They're not real people practically to like the normal public. And she's like, no, I don't care if you have this like job in Haleco. Like, you're not in charge. You're just this
Right.
figurehead person. And I'm going to talk to you however I want to talk to you. And yeah, I'm going to insult you and tattle on you to my boss who is Lo. But it's so satisfying because then Rose goes into the office and she can like see through the window that like Hannah feels like she's all high and mighty. She got she got in there first to get Rose in trouble. So obviously Lo's going to be
Right.
on her side. And like there's this whole thing where Lo and Rose just constantly butt heads. So of course Lo is not going to side with Rose. And
Right.
we just witness that he starts speaking to her and she like withers, and it's so satisfying. Just I love that he will defend Rose. Like
Absolutely.
he comes in and
Family
he's like,
first. It doesn't
yes.
matter.
And he recognizes, he's like, you called her a secretary. Yes, she's going to be insulted, but he's still going to defend her anyway.
Right. God.
Yeah, I just love seeing the proof that they are on the same side. So he, like, once he's free, they're in the office together, and he's like, I want you to talk to the marketing division so that we can get this summer release for this clothing line ready. And then who walks in the door? It is Theo Ballantyne. God, have I ever believed I would come face to face with my husband's ex-boyfriend? In all honesty, I thought fate would be kinder to me. So yeah, so Theo has come into the office for the first time. Rose is finally meeting one of Connor's exes.
Theo has entered the chat.
Yeah, which is I am a possessive person, and I get possessive over like these characters that I love, and I'm like, stay away from.
Yeah,
they're in this happy little bubble.
There
I
are
don't
no
need
exes in these books.
Yeah.
Like,
what are you talking about? An ex?
It's interesting. It's very interesting, especially for the ex to have dialogue in the book and actually like a character in the book, not just in passing.
And it's like, so the whole thing with Theo is that I think it's talked about in this next chapter where Rose remembers that Connor, the only time that she was ever really able to get one up on Connor at a Model UN conference was this one year where he came out of the bathroom. She caught him coming out of the bathroom with another guy, and they very clearly looked like they had been doing something in the bathroom. Mm-hmm. And she could tell that Connor was off his game. He keeps his sexuality a secret. Like, to the world, everyone thinks he's straight, but he's not. He is attracted to people, and he just doesn't talk about that very often. That people would. Yeah, to him it doesn't matter. Like he'll say it. He's said it in Kiss the Sky.
Right. He's not like closeted about anything. It just.
But he says it
not.
He says it in Connor's way where no one like really understands. Like they won't dig into the deeper meaning of what he's saying.
Right.
But all of this is to say that, like, despite the fact that Theo was more of a secret relationship, he was still like an actual relationship. He is like an ex-boyfriend of Connor, and that's something that we don't really get a lot of in the series. Is like Reich had, I guess you could call Melissa an ex-girlfriend, but she felt like more like a hookup.
Right.
And all of the guys that Daisy was with are more hookups. I guess we had Julian. Julian was an ex-boyfriend, but he was so easy to hate. And then Lily and Lo, they didn't have like ex-boyfriends and ex-girlfriends. So Theo is like, we don't necessarily know how we feel about Theo. He is not an easy to hate like ex like Julian, but...
Right, exactly. He's just a regular guy that dated another guy. Who I'm assuming that Theo is gay, but Connor, I mean, yeah, Connor is in his own way about everything. He's got his own explanations for everything that we would essentially say that Connor's pansexual, but it's more than that for him.
Yeah.
It's not, he can't label it, and he doesn't want to, which is whatever.
Yeah, that's his prerogative. But it just like, it brings a lot of feelings for Rose. Because she talks about too how like when Connor dated Caroline Haverford, he called it 11 months and 22 days of vapidity and boredom. And then he called his time with Theo fun. And it's like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, what kind of fun?
Yeah. But like at the same time, she could be jealous. And she's like, no. So in this world, Connor is attracted to so many people. It's not even just like one specific gender. It could be anybody. And of all of these people out there, he picked me. Like, I'm the one that got him, and he loves me. He wanted to marry me. We have a kid together. Like, I won.
Rose, as the person with absolutely no relationship history.
Right.
No, I mean, she never wanted to really be in a relationship before. She really didn't even want to be in a relationship with Connor.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, it's very interesting that Connor chose Rose. I think it was the push and pull and the game of it all.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, when they met at Model UN, there was always that spark between them no matter what. And it just followed them
Yeah.
into their college years, where they
Yes.
finally let their guard, she let her guard down for him.
Right. But yeah, so Theo has come into the office and he's awkward when he comes in. He like clears his throat a lot. She's like, "What part of this guy is fun?
Right.
What did Connor see in him?"
Poor Theo. But he's so intimidated by Rose. I
Yes.
mean, he knows what he's walking into. The
And Lo
lion's
is in
den.
here too. At this moment, Lo is still in the office. So
Yeah.
it's like it's Connor's wife and Connor's best friend with Connor's ex-boyfriend. Like, and Connor's best friend also happens to be Connor's wife's brother-in-law.
And does Theo know that he dated Theo? I don't think so at
No,
this point. No.
no. I think, yeah, it's Lo. How does it go? Yeah, it's Lo doesn't know the extent of Theo's relationship with Connor. And she says that, like, if he were to find out, he would fire Theo. Lauren's protectiveness towards me circles around like an eclipse. It's always there, ready to darken the skies. So it's like, yeah, no, in this instance, he would 100% fire
Mm-hmm.
Theo just so that Rose wouldn't have to be around him. Not
Yeah.
necessarily that, like, Connor would be near Theo. But yeah, so Lo doesn't know. All he knows is that Theo went to school with Connor
Right.
and that they know each other. And Rose then shares, like, she kind of strings him out a little bit, Theo, with, like, I could share exactly the extent of your relationship with Connor
Yes.
when Lo is like, "How do you know Theo?" And she's like, she's not gonna do that. She's just like, "Yeah, I knew him from Model UN. You were also like you were on Faust's Model UN team. You were like their trump card for poetry. That's how I know you."
Right.
So then Lo has to get up and go do other things. So he leaves Rose and Theo to themselves. I forgot the part where like Rose when she's like talking when she says like I only know Theo through Model UN. She calls Theo. She says he's a guppy in our ocean. He is just this teensy little mindless fish in
Right.
our
He's the
massive
guppy.
ocean. He
Yep.
means nothing. He could mean more, but he really doesn't.
Right.
He's just there. Yeah, no, I love that. But then, so then it's her and Theo. Lo leaves. Once Lo's gone, Theo kind of like tries to puff up his chest a little bit and be like, "Listen, like we're in here, but to talk about this baby product, this clothing line, but you're not going to get what you want with the board.
Right.
Sorry." And she's like, "Okay, trying to step in here and tell me what to do." And that's not going to happen. So she comes up with this compromise basically to try and trick the board into giving her what she wants, where they make this design that incorporates like Hilco and the Callaway Couture babies.
Mm-hmm.
They make this logo and she's going to pretend to hate it and be like, "Why are there so many? Like, we wanted less letters on this label and now we're adding more." And like,
Right.
what just, she knows exactly how to sound like she's kicking up a fuss about this. And it's going to trick the board into being like, "Well, we're going this way. Sorry." And Theo's very impressed by that. Like how quick she is on her feet, how she
Right.
can figure out this plan that's going to get her what she wants while also making the board think that they're getting what they want. And then he's like, now I see why he married you." And she's like,
Mm-hmm.
"It's because he loves me." And Theo looks like he pities her. Like, "You believe Connor loves you?" She's like, "You just don't know Connor.
Right.
You
He's like,
clearly do
Connor
not know
doesn't love
Connor."
anyone but himself.
No, but yes, he 100% loves Rose. And then he's like, Theo's like, "I hope you and me, Rose, can be friends in the future." And she's like, I don't really know if you have the qualities to be one of my friends."
Right.
Which, fair. I'm just like so entirely, I say like, I feel possessive of these characters. And there's just like this part of me that I hate seeing an ex pop up, but there's just something so confident about Rose in this whole scene where she's like, "I got Connor. Like, there's truly nothing to worry about. Theo truly is just like, he is a person.
There's
He
no
may,
competition.
yes.
There's no, yeah, she doesn't feel threatened by him one bit. She's irritated by him, but
Yeah.
she's not threatened by him.
Right.
But also, I always think it's so interesting as well, though, that none of them have friends outside of the family.
Right.
They really are this bubble, because otherwise it's trust no one. You can't trust anyone.
Just the number of people that have burned them, that they did have friends and other relationships, and all of these people have just stabbed them in the back.
Right.
Like, it's hard. Yeah, it's way too hard for them to trust, even their own family.
Yeah.
They already know that Samantha's out there, like, feeding the, it's not malicious rumors, but she goes out and feeds the tabloids information. It's just like, we can't even trust our own freaking mother to not put us in the spotlight.
No.
Yeah. But so yeah, she's not threatened by his relationship with Connor, like his past relationship. However, there is this one thing that she remembers from the past, which is after Lily's sex addiction became public, she and Connor were like decompressing after a really stressful like couple of days dealing with the media harassing their families because they were in the spotlight. And because Connor was connected to the Callaways, he was trying to go through and contact all of the men that he had slept with in the past and get them to sign an NDA so that they would not share his sexuality. And there was only one person that did not sign an NDA. That was Theo. And it was just that he morally could not keep Connor in the closet, even though Connor was the one that was like, I want this.
Right.
So it's kind of like you're worried about Theo, but at the same time, it's like you can kind of respect the fact that he doesn't, like, he's not going to shove anybody in the closet. Like, he claims that he's going to keep this secret, that he's not going to share with anybody. He won't blab about Connor's sexuality.
Right. He just doesn't need legalities involved. It's more of the goodness of his heart, but we don't understand that from people.
No, we don't. And Rose and Connor, like the Corsicks, it's hard for them to trust. They don't trust a lot of people. So it's like he's claiming that he's doing this out of the goodness of his heart, that he's not going to spill any secrets, but how much has he changed in the years since he said this? And how much power does he truly wield over Rose and Connor?
He silently holds all the power. That's the end of the chapter.
Yeah. We don't like that. Rose and Connor should have all the power.
Exactly. That's a scary thing.
It is. That's one of the reasons this book in particular is like, it hurts me a lot because I'm so used to Rose and Connor having all the power and being the strength, and this one's very much like,
it's out of control. They are out of control.
Yeah. They don't have the control. Things are slipping through the cracks.
Yeah. And it's not chaos out of control. It's just they don't hold the control.
Yeah. They're used to having all of the strings in their hands, and they don't at this moment.
They are typically the puppet masters.
Yeah. So, chapter 17. I love these chapters. So, Rose is collecting mugs for Christmas morning. She's got Jane with her, and
I love this scene.
So
and they talk about this scene in Nobody Like Us. And then I was like reliving it again. I loved it.
Oh, yeah. So Rose is giving Jane advice. She's like, there are 3 things you can never go without. I think it was like coffee. What were the 3 things?
A great pair of heels, an outfit to your liking, and coffee. Or if you prefer hot tea, that will do too. Max Muff loves hot tea.
Yes, he does. I don't think he has a great pair of heels, but...
No.
But Rose and Connor are bickering as usual. And she sets Jane down to eat. She turns into Connor's arms and she gives him a trivia question. And it's basically, if he gets the answer wrong, then they don't speak for the rest of the day, which is kind of like this harken back to when they met for the very first time. They had that trivia game. So they they continue this trivia.
Yes.
I love it. It's so sweet. But he gets the answer right, and he tries to kiss her, and then Rose stops him. He's like, no, you have to do a fuck, marry, kill now, which is, God, I I said this in the Kiss the Sky podcast. I just love that they're so smart, they're so intelligent, and they play such childish games.
I
Very
know.
cool.
It's so funny.
But it's one that's very similar to the one that he gave her years ago where he answers, it's Disney princesses. I think it's like The Little Mermaid, Rapunzel,
Snow White.
and Snow White, yeah. And she's like, you need to explain your answers to this. And he's like, I don't want to fuck a mermaid. She grows legs. You're describing the maturation of a frog. And still, surprising to absolutely no one, I'm not fucking an amphibian.
She snorts into her laughter. Oh my God.
Yes, I mean, we're finding it funny. Also finds it funny. She laughs, and Connor joins her. And then as they laugh, Jane says, Mama, up. And it's her first word.
Her little
Is so sweet. And on top of that, like, Jane's like knocking her arms around. She's got a bowl of peaches, I think. She's got something on her high chair and she knocks that off and it spills. And like we know Rose, she has her OCD. If something's messy, that kind of triggers her OCD. And in this moment, it doesn't even matter. Rose is just so happy that her baby said her first words.
Did you hear her? I heard darling. I'm not even minutely religious, but today, Christmas morning with my girls, enveloped in happiness, feels as spiritual as I've ever come in life. It's so good. Connor, goddamn, is so good.
I love that. That's one of my Roman Empire moments.
It's really, really meaningful.
It's so meaningful. And like for her to say Rose too, after like how much we've seen Rose worry about whether she'd be a good mom. Mm-hmm. Whether I think we knew that Rose would love her kids, but like would her kids love her? Is she too stiff? Like she comes off as cold. Would her kids be able to recognize the love that she'd be able to give them? And yes. Even
And
as
Jane
an infant,
called for Rose first. Jane said mama. She didn't say dada.
Yeah, I love it. So then in the next chapter, it's Christmas morning. They're all together opening up their presents. Daisy is recording. She braces a vintage video camera. When was this book written? I feel like it was like 2015 maybe? 2015, 2016? 2015. I'm just trying to picture like what a vintage.
I know. What is vintage? Probably early 2000s or something.
Yeah. I do have like the handheld one with the little eyepiece. Yep, that's what I picture. But yeah, so she's recording Christmas morning and everyone. So some people are dressed up like Daisy, Lily, Reich, and Lo are all in like Christmas PJs. Mm-hmm. Rose is in all black, but she's got ornament earrings, like Christmassy earrings on.
I love that.
And then Connor is not. He's got zero festive spirit.
Right. And the babies are in Christmas onesies.
Yes. So cute. Connor is in gray cotton pants and I don't press him to change. I love him, weird quirks and all. And so Daisy accuses Mafi. He's got that devilish glint in his eyes. Yeah. And Lily's like, Mafi looks devilish? And Lo says that actually the devilish baby is sitting over in Rose's lap. And it devolves into this whole thing of like, you just called you're a devil and we've got it recorded, Lo. Like, and they curse each other out. And it's like, well, now your foul mouths are recorded for history too. And Daisy's like, I can edit this. And they're like, no, you're not going to edit my child's first Christmas. I want raw, unfiltered content here. Right. And then Reich and Daisy start flirting and she sits on his lap. And then he lifts her shirt, sticks his head under there, and Rose is like, oh, I don't want to witness this. Like, I don't want to know what he's doing under there.
Right.
The group scenes are they're some of my favorite. I love bouncing my head around, seeing what everyone's doing. And meanwhile, Rose and Connor are playing a crossword puzzle, or they're doing a crossword puzzle together on the couch, but they have their own rules where it's just they pick a topic and fill in the boxes. They don't actually read the clues that are provided.
Right. They just put in what fits.
Yes, according to their theme, and their category is sex, because of course they're so smart, but they're also like equally childish.
Right, exactly.
So then at one point, Lo points out that they need to stop referring to Reich as Santa, because they don't want to confuse the babies about who Santa actually is.
Or if Santa's real.
Yes. And Connor's like, do we have to keep this up? Do the kids really have to know that Santa is real? He's not. And like they question whether Jane could grow up knowing the truth and Maximoff could think that Santa was real, but then it was like, well, Jane's gonna tell him as soon as she actually understands. And they just basically are trying to advocate to Connor, like, you can't ruin the magic of Santa and Christmas.
Says your daughter will literally be that kid who fucks up Christmas.
Yeah. Connor's kid would, though.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They would learn all of the things, and then not just of Christmas, but like of all things, and just run to school and be like, guess what I learned?
Yeah. Santa's not real.
Yeah. So then Reich in particular is advocating to Connor, like, don't ruin this magic for her. And Connor is like, he kind of like turns into therapist mode, like, why was Santa so magical to you? Like, tell me about your childhood, what your Christmas was like. And Reich, like, he shares that it was just him and his mom growing up.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have his dad, as we know. Like, being able to see that there were presents under the tree just made him feel like there was someone else out there that cared about him. It's like a really vulnerable moment for Reich.
Right. He doesn't like to talk about his childhood.
He doesn't at all. It's very sensitive for him. And when Connor's like getting this out of Reich, he kind of makes it sound like he's relating to Reich, that Connor is relating to Reich. Like, yeah, I get what it was like. Wasn't it special? Oh God, how does he put it? Essentially, he tricks Reich into thinking that they share something in common because they both grew up with single moms. Connor also didn't have his dad in the picture. So then when Reich asks Connor about his childhood and what Christmas was like, Connor was then like, I actually never celebrated Christmas with my mom.
Right.
Like, I didn't have this special moment like you, sorry. And that, like, while he understands that a fictional person made Reich feel better, they shouldn't have to lie to the kids for them to feel that way. It's like, God damn it, Connor.
But it's also like what's Rose's take on this also? Yeah. Because we know Rose definitely grew up with Santa. But, and I feel like I think about this personally because my daughter's boyfriend, his family doesn't do any holidays at all.
Okay, yeah.
And I mean, they're young, obviously. They're not in any way thinking of future, but I think about that, like, what happens if someone like that who celebrates Christmas and holidays and birthdays and someone that doesn't, how do you mesh that?
Right.
So it's hard. No matter what, it's hard.
Yeah. But they do come up with a good compromise. Rose, like, looks over to Connor and she's like, we could use this as like almost like a test to see how smart Jane is, and like we could let her figure it out on her own and see how long it takes her to figure it out, and who would figure it out first, would Jane or Moffy figure it out? And the rest of them are like, oh, you would turn this into some kind of competition, wouldn't
right
you? So then Connor points out, like, you guys have to open my gifts now, which I love that this is kind of like gifting. So essentially for Connor's Christmas last year, I think that's what it was. Yeah, Christmas gifts last year, what Connor asked for were their favorite books, which we saw him reading in Addicted After All when they're on the boat. I think it was for Daisy's birthday when they were in Mexico. Mm-hmm. Noticed that Connor was reading. I think he was reading Narnia at that point, and that she had said that Connor had already gone through Lowe's, the books that Lowe had given him too. So that was his gift last year, everyone to him. So then now they're opening these gifts and all of a sudden they're noticing that these are the books that they gave him last year. And Rose's like, you're regifting? Why are you giving these back? But then they open it and they're annotated, which I love that it's like, I don't think Connor was the one that we can't claim that Connor was the one that like came up with this idea of you annotate and you gift, but I love that at least in the KBR community, it's like if you annotate a book and you gift it to someone, it's like you pulled a Connor. Right. This is a very Connor Cobalt gift.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's my favorite kind of gift now, is reading my favorite books and putting in all of my thoughts. Rose opens her gift, and because it was like a first edition, he put everything in sticky notes because he didn't want to mess up that. But at the same time that everyone's opening these gifts, they're still doing the crossword, and Rose puts down the word scoptophilia, which is a fetish for looking at erotic photography or watching sexual acts. And she had been questioning, like, do I put this down? Like, this fits here, but I'm still like wary about the sex tapes. I don't want Connor getting ideas if I'm filling this in. But it does catch Connor's attention. And then while they're opening the books too, Jane grabs Rose's hair and yanks on it, and her head knocks into Connor's, and she's like, this is what happens when I say nice things to you. The universe rebels.
Right.
So it's like a very sweet moment. And then everyone realizes that Reich was kind of a dick to Connor last Christmas. And when everyone was giving their favorite books, he gifted Connor a blank journal. So Lo's like, what did Connor put in your book? And Reich lies, and he's like, it's still a blank book, but Rose knows that there's something in there. And then he tucks it like into his back pants, and Connor's like, that's exactly where I love your gift.
In the back of his pants, like one with a handgun.
So then Connor puts a word in the crossword that Rose doesn't recognize. So she like pulls out her phone and has to look it up. She's over here like, it better not mean anal. But it has two meanings. And the first is a curve or surface touching another curve or surface having a common tangent point of contact, or a kiss. So then they kiss, and then Jane pulls Rose's hair again. But I know I've married the right person when words turn you on as much as they do me. I read deeper into that as I should. Translation, I could only ever be with you, Rose.
Love him. This book, I mean, every book really like solidifies my love for the hero. But fuck, I love Connor so much. He's just so multifaceted.
Yes.
And there's just a surprise at every turn.
Yeah. Ugh, I love it. Okay. So after Christmas gifts, Rose is cleaning up and she notices Lily's trying to be sneaky. She's like going upstairs and she's being sneaky about it. And that like, what's going on? And Rose asks Connor, like, did you not find that weird that my sister's doing this? And Connor says he thinks Lily's always weird. What was it? I think your sister is always weird
fragments to me. And uses words like OTP and shipper.
But then he's also like, I like weird. It's better than normal. Again, normal's an insult. But Rose decides that she's going to go investigate. And she's really surprised that Connor doesn't want to follow along with her. She's like, all right, fine, whatever. But I'm going to go figure out what the heck my sister's doing. So she says that she does feel kind of out of the loop as she and Connor have been staging these headlines for Celebrity Crush. Another headline that they have created was that she and Connor kissed in public, and they're not the couple that shows PDA, so it's very abnormal for them.
Right.
That's why that would be a headline. But because they're so busy doing this, they feel out of the loop of what's going on with her sisters. So she goes upstairs and notices that Lily is sneaking into her bedroom, Rose's bedroom, and then notices that there are more people in her room. And she's like, what the? And when she goes in, she sees that Lo and Reich are raiding their bedroom and their bathroom and their closet because they're trying to find Connor's supposed cocaine stash, which was the second headline that they had staged, which was Connor dropping a baggie of powdered sugar.
And they're basically ready to stage an intervention.
Yes. It's just like a thing that they do now. Like they live with two addicts. This is what they do. Is like they care enough about each other that like, you seem to be going through something right now. This is not good. We need to get to the bottom of this and help you. Which I love that they're like ready to do this. And I love seeing Lily and Lo. They're the ones that would be in this position normally because they are the addicts. But now they have the role reversal, and they're just like, they're so ready to be that support system. But they have noticed that Rose and Connor are acting unusual. Like they're in the headlines. This is very much not like them. And the behavior that is causing headlines is very much not like them either. So they question Rose, and as they're questioning her, Daisy busts into the room and she's like, I was just taking a shower and I looked out the window and Connor is going over to Scott's house right now. And they all run to the window and they're like, what's he doing? What's he doing right now? And they're like, why? What is Connor doing over at Scott's? They're theorizing as he's walking over that like Scott's going to open the door and Connor's going to like punch him in the face or something. Just like, but when he does, and Scott does open the door, he just like, you say something and then Scott just like very cordially invites him inside. And it's like, what just happened?
Right.
This is not the reaction we thought Connor would have encountering Scott again. And at that point, Rose also does turn to Daisy and she's like, did you ever sleep with a guy named Trent? Because this is the guy that Scott brought up the night that they discovered that he had moved in.
Right.
Who had claimed to have slept with Daisy in the past.
Right.
And they're trying to figure out the validity of what Scott is saying. Is Scott telling the truth? Daisy, do you know who this Trent guy is? And she's clearly very uncomfortable, and she gives a very vague answer before trying to redirect back to what Connor's doing. And then the doorbell rings, and they all run downstairs to see who's at the door. And Rose gets there first. It is Garrison Abbey, not who they were expecting. She's also pretty hostile to Garrison still. It's because of Addicted After All. Him and his friends like pranked the Corsicks a lot and got the babies involved. Like they shot, I think it was fruit punch out of water guns at Rose while she was holding.
They terrorized them.
Yes. Yeah. And Garrison did finally like realize what he was doing was wrong, and he was not one of the kids that broke into the house and got arrested.
Right.
And he now works at Superheroes and Scones with Willow, who is, as a recap, Lo's half-sister. But everyone thinks that she is his cousin. But then, so Garrison is here. He's trying to find where Willow is because he has news to share. His Christmas gift was that his parents are withdrawing him from Dalton, and he's going to be moving to upstate New York.
To South Academy.
Yes. Connor's school. And
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I don't know if it's in this moment, but Rose is sitting here. There's definitely a point where it's like, Connor went to Fost. And like, I know the kind of attitude that those boys have, like the drive that they have, and Garrison is not the kind of, he doesn't fit that's going to be the kind of guy that's going to succeed there.
Garrison's not going to make it there.
No. I don't remember if it was mentioned
academically inclined and driven, and Garrison is just coasting along.
Yeah. So it's sad to know that this is where he's going to be forced to go. It's clearly very unwilling. Like, he's upset about this news. And then it's also sad because he is Willow's friend. Like, Willow doesn't have very many friends at this point. Right. It's just the Corsicks, mostly Daisy, and Garrison. And Garrison is now having to move, so he can't work at Superheroes and Scones anymore. He can't hang out with Willow anymore. So he shares this news with them, and then Rose gets distracted because Connor has come back from Scott's house, and she confronts him about what were you doing? And Connor reveals, like, yeah, I brought over an expensive bottle of wine. There was no sneaky mean thing that I brought. Like, I gave him a genuinely nice gift.
Because he's trying to have a fake bromance with Scott.
Yes. It's Rose is like, Connor, you gave him wine. What are you trying to be friends with him now?
Right.
Fuck. You are.
But I have this bookmarked from the audio. You went into the lion's den. I say my throat raw from more than just the cold. Connor shakes his head. We're the lions, Rose. Our den is right behind you.
They are.
I love how he instantly turns it around and makes it make sense.
Yes.
We're the lions. Like, Connor always has unless it's with Rose and the Corsicks, Connor has a motive for absolutely every move he makes.
Yeah, he does. But I love this bit because she realizes Connor's going to try and trick Scott into being his friend. And I mean, she knows that like there are reasons why they want Scott out of their lives. And she is worried about Connor being around Scott. Like, just the idea of Scott makes her feel sick. She says her skin is crawling because she's just so genuinely disgusted with him. And Connor admits that, like, he feels that too. He just has a better mask about hiding those feelings. He's not gonna, he really doesn't let other people see that.
He doesn't show his emotions like that at all. Or his vulnerabilities.
Exactly. So then Rose questions, like, Connor, are you going to be okay doing this? And he's like, this is how Scott is going to leave our lives. Like, this is the way that we will get rid of him. And then he quotes King Lear, the worst is not, so long as we can say, this is the worst. But he does ask Rose, he's like, I need you to look at me the way you look at me. I need you to be angry and passionate the way you always are, and to always see the real me, because that's actually the way that he's going to be able to stomach dealing with Scott.
Yeah, I have this bookmarked as well.
I need you to keep looking at me like you're gonna burn a hole through my heart, and I need you to tell me that you love the real me. Every day, I need you, Rose. That's how I'm gonna stomach this.
The chapter ends, we're entering this tragedy together. It's so Shakespearean.
It is. Yeah, because he quotes King Lear, and she's like, Connor, that's a tragedy. You're quoting a tragedy to me right now. And then, yeah, it feels like they're entering their own tragedy, which is just so very ominous. Like, we're only this far into the book, and Rose is like, tragedy, it's coming. So then the next chapter, it is January 3rd, aka Connor's birthday. And he's trying to sleep it away.
Connor doesn't talk about it.
Yeah, no. He would just prefer it be referred to as January 3rd, nothing else.
Right.
He's sleeping in. He wakes up at like 11 o'clock because he's hoping that he can just like waste this day away, like make it go faster. But when he wakes up, he sees that Lily's waiting in the room. He like rolls over. Rose is gone. He rolls over to see
Lily's on guard. Poor Lily.
And she's got her Wampa cap on too. But she's like, go get dressed. You can't leave for the day. Like, you can't leave anywhere. Because they tried to throw a surprise party for him the year before, and he surprised all of them by getting on a plane and not being there. He, like, went to Ontario. And nobody was happy about that, except Connor. But, like, Connor talks about how, like, age is just a number. It's always been this thing where, like, he feels he's already at this specific milestone because of his intelligence and like what he knows and what he's learned. And age is this restriction that's like, no, you're actually not at this milestone because you haven't reached this age yet.
Right. Like, you're only, what, 27? 26, 27? I forget, but...
I think this is his 20th birthday.
Yeah, it's 27. So, yeah, which makes him, even though he has all these accomplishments, he's still in his 20s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he wants to disregard that.
Yeah, people are still going to look at him as like, you don't know enough about the world. And he's like, yeah, I'm very smart. I know plenty about the world and I know plenty about people. And this number is holding me back. But Connor questions Lily, like, where's Rose? What are my plans for the day? And she's like, you're asking too many questions right now. Don't do this. And he's like, well, what if I try and leave? And she's like, I'm gonna have to like try and get physical with you, and I don't have the muscles for this, so I'm gonna have to call for backup. And backup arrives right as she says that. It is Lo and Reich, and Reich is holding handcuffs.
She's like, I'm gonna have to call for backup.
Now's your cue. But Connor's like trying to crack jokes, and they're like, no, this day is special, and he's like, it's not. Please don't make it a special day. But so Lo gets distracted by a call from Theo. So he has to go handle this work call. And Reich says that he's going to guard Connor while he showers. While they have this conversation, Connor can tell that Reich is still very frustrated with him after their exchange at Christmas. And how Connor tricked Reich into revealing more about himself by like making them feel that they did have that connection, that like because they both grew up with single mothers that their Christmases were similar, and they weren't. And we find out more about what Connor's Christmas gift to Reich was because of this, like because it was a blank notebook. Connor actually wrote things on these pages in several different languages, and Reich is not going to tell Connor which pages he can read. Connor's learning all of these new facets of Reich, and it's like, he's actually, and he talks about this, like, Connor's fascinated by Reich's character because he is very smart. Like, Reich is very intelligent. He says that he votes in all the elections. He clearly can speak multiple languages.
And he just holds so much back. He does, Reich in his own right does not share all of his cards.
Right. Yes.
He shrouds these parts of himself as if they're reminders of how he was raised, as the yes kid who did what his mother asked of him.
Yes. And it's just, he doesn't show his smarts the way that Connor shows his smarts. It's just like, yeah, it's very rooted in his past and like being this yes kid and like making his mom happy, but also like having to constantly hide his identity. It's just Connor, not who Reich is. And Connor's just like, this is not the way I act. Like, I'm smart and I want everyone to know that I'm smart. And you're over here like letting everyone
think. He lays it out all on the table, and Reich holds it in because it's not important to him. Not anymore.
It's so funny because like in other aspects, it's opposite. Like with Reich being emotional and sharing his feelings, he's like, lay it all out on the table. He
Yep.
has no filter. And
Right.
Connor's over here with these masks and like hiding what he's feeling. It's
Yeah.
just, I could dissect
It's
that.
very interesting how they're so similar but so different. They're similar but the opposite in emotions and
Yeah.
academics and everything like that.
Yeah. They share these similar traits, these similar qualities, and somehow it makes them two completely opposing characters.
And
It's so,
similar upbringings.
yeah, it's so interesting. Yeah, I love it. But as Connor finishes his shower, Reich continues to guard him. He tells Connor, like, we're going down to the kitchen now. And there's like, I have an insert this cute moment. Connor calls Daisy to be like, come collect your boyfriend. And Daisy's like, what's that? I can't hear you. Shh, I'm going through a tunnel right now. There's static on the other line. And Connor's like, yeah, that's Lily making that static. They're so cute. So then he like gives up on that. And then he tries to run away from Reich. And he speaks French to Reich, like, you can't, what's the...
You will lose this fight, my friend.
And then Reich catches him, elbows him in the gut, handcuffs him to a chair, and he goes, you mean the fight that you just lost? And he says it in French, and Connor's like, okay, well, I don't mind.
Down.
Yeah, I don't mind being handcuffed quite at this moment, because, like, now I have something that I can play with. I can figure out what's going on with Reich. Mm-hmm. So he then says, I know a secret about your girlfriend and no one knows it, not even you. And he says this in Italian. And Reich's like, you're lying. No, you don't know anything. And Connor's like,
in
yes.
Italian.
Check. I know he knows that language. So then he switches to German. And he's like, I'm lying for my benefit, of course. And Reich, it's like, Connor, what do you know? What do you know about Daisy? And it's, okay, so you don't know German. Got that. Which is always, I did the hothouse flower trivia, and it was like, what languages does Reich know, and what are those how many languages does Reich know? What are those languages? German was a very common answer, and I'm always like, no, you got to go read Feel the Fire, where he clearly does not understand German.
He doesn't know German because it's very easy to learn. I took 4 years of German in high school. It was very easy compared to other languages, so that surprised me.
Yes. I mean, he knows freaking Russian. I've never tried to learn Russian, but
no.
Yeah, German's not that bad.
No.
I don't remember a ton. I did take German, but all I really remember is like, I mean, I could natürlich. Yeah, I could maybe pronounce some of these words, but yeah. So Reich does not know German, and Connor like then finally admits like, I was making all of this up. This was just me trying to figure out what languages you know.
Yeah.
By being really mean and like talking about Daisy, this one thing that's one of Reich's triggers. Like he's always going to be protective of Daisy. If you're saying something about her, like he's going to speak up.
Right.
And then so then Connor asks for a pen and paper, and that is when Rose steps into the kitchen, and she is dressed in like a kimono in this simple dress, but it's like what she wears when she's getting ready for something fancy. She's like looking made up.
Right.
So she looks like she's getting ready for something fancy. So then into the next chapter, he's like, this isn't like, please unlock me. Like this whole plan, we don't need to be doing this. This isn't funny. Right. She gives him the pen and paper. And he like writes down Connor Cobalt on his birthday, Connor Cobalt at the office, Connor Cobalt beating you at chess, and hands it to her as like, this is her fuck, marry, kill. She needs to answer this. So she's going to write it down. Like, because he wrote it down, their whole thing is like, her response is going to be written down too. She goes, kill, kill, kill.
Good. It's so good.
And at the same time, he's like, he's still attached to this chair, but he's like trying to get touchy with her.
Right. He's trying to loosen her up.
Yeah. He's hoping that he can distract her enough that he can get what he wants.
Right. Because he had a flight scheduled for Hong Kong.
Yeah. He's like, you can still come with me. She's like, no, I have plans for us.
Imagine just being able to flit off anywhere at any time.
They're fancy private jets. So Connor's like threatening to break the chair. Rose is like, you're not going to break my chair. And he goes, our chair?
Our chair.
We spent the money on all of the furniture in this house. We share it together. And he's like, no, so Rose, you need to answer the questions. Stop cheating. You can't say kill, kill, kill. You
Right.
need to actually answer the question. So she's like sitting there thinking about the questions again. And while that's happening, Connor gets a call from Scott. And because he's trying to pretend to be friends with him, he has to pick up the phone and like talk with Scott.
I just love his vernacular with Scott.
Hey, man.
Hey, man. He would never say that to anyone, ever.
No, he doesn't. Yeah, it's one of those things that Rose talks about in Kiss the Sky when he like talks with Patrick Newbell and he like says dude a lot. And yeah, it's not the way Connor speaks. No. He sounds like a completely different person.
Mm-hmm.
So Scott calls because the whole thing with the reason Scott is living across the street from them is that GBA is trying to pressure the Calloway sisters into making another season of Princesses of Philly, and they have said no. So Scott is there as like pressure for the Calloway sisters. So he's calling Connor to be like, I'm about to go into a meeting with GBA. Do you have any updates for me? Connor's like, he gives a lie. Lily's thinking about the second season more than Rose. She'll take time.
Right. He's like holding him on by a string he's stringing him along the whole time, basically.
Yeah. But he says this about Rose, and fucking Scott is like, how about you just force her to do it? She's your wife. You know what'll work? Backhand her when she says no. And Connor is like, he's got his arm around Rose, and as soon as Scott says that, like, he tightens his grip on her.
Right.
Like, I hate what Scott says, but just like those micro moments of Connor being so protective and physical with Rose, those I latch onto that bit.
Right.
That's the part
Absolutely.
I'm thinking
like
about.
he never would do that, and he's protecting Rose just even in this phone conversation.
Yes. And then he's like, I'll keep that in mind. Good luck. If anyone knows me at all, they can tell I'm being fake by those two words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Connor doesn't believe in luck. There's no such thing as luck for Connor Cobalt.
No, definitely not.
Connor makes his own destiny.
He does. So then he hangs up, and Connor's like, all right, well, Rose, you had that whole phone conversation to answer my fuck, marry, kill. What are your answers? Connor Cobalt working at the office, kill. Connor Cobalt beating you at chess, and she scribbles it out. She says, playing chess with you. Just marry.
I love that.
Connor Cobalt on his birthday. Fuck. In all caps.
That way he can't go anywhere.
She gets it. She does what she's doing.
Yeah.
But that gets to Connor, and he grabs the chair because he's still handcuffed to this chair, and he starts bashing it, destroys the chair, and gets free of his handcuff. And he's ready to just go at it with her in the kitchen. And she keeps being like, Connor, you have to wait. Connor, wait. And then she like says no, and he immediately like backs off.
Right.
100% respects that, like, okay, she has a line, we're crossing it, I'm not going to do that. We know I know later what's going on under there, but there's something that she doesn't want Connor to see under her simple dress.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like trying to tell him, you need to wait, just wait a little longer, and then like brings him into the pantry.
I have this page bookmarked.
She's gonna give him a blowjob instead, which is like, Connor knows that like he'll take it, but he also knows that it's not her favorite thing. We learned at the end of Addicted After All that like Rose feels like she can't fit all of Connor in her mouth, and it aggravates her.
Right, because she's not great at it.
Yeah, so if she's not 100% amazing at it, then she doesn't want to do it, which fair. I feel the same. So she like latches him in the pantry too. I think she like hooks the handcuff to the shelf and then like runs out really fast, and he starts freaking out and is like pulling on it. She's like, don't pull down the shelves, please. But then she gives him a blowjob in the pantry. And then into the next chapter, it's Rose's point of view. She gets this text from Reich that like if she doesn't hurry up, Connor is gonna rip one of the shelves out of the wall. So she continues she's getting stuff ready up in the bedroom. She has this whole, she's like, Connor's not gonna like going out. He's not gonna want this big extravagant event. That's just not who he is. So I'm gonna plan something a little more simple, but like still celebrate him. So it's this private dinner in their bedroom, and she's dressed very nicely for him. and she has Lily and Daisy like helping her get ready.
Mm-hmm.
So then she finally texts Reich, like, all right, fine, you can let him loose. Connor comes upstairs, candles lit on the dresser and table, his favorite winter food from his favorite restaurant, his favorite music, and then me, his favorite person. Everything is perfect. And then she's like, for some reason, I've already concluded that he'll hate it. So when he opens the door, I'm scorching as hot as the flames behind me. But then she tells Connor, you're wrong. January 3rd is a day where I celebrate you existing for another year. I don't care if you're 17 or if you're 80. You're here. And then she's like, oh, crap. I'm going to have to say nice things to him. It tastes foreign, but not foul. I'm grateful to have you in my life. And if you hate all of this, then I will never try it again. You can spend every single birthday after this one alone in another country, and I'll let you leave without hassle. And he's like very quiet about all of this. She's like, all right, fine. Well, if you hate it, fine, be silent, whatever.
Right. Your silence is my punishment for handcuffing you. Then you should know that this is more of a prize. Your voice bleeds in my ears.
And you are exquisite, and I have spent the past 3 hours in a pantry with only Reich as company. So I've had plenty of time to decide what your punishment is. But Rose then starts giving Connor compliments. She's like, it's hard for her. Again, it's foreign, but she still means it. It's just not their dynamic.
Right.
Their typical dynamic.
Right.
You're not a horrible lover. You're tall. You're demanding when you want to be, and you're so brilliant and attractive. It becomes maddening that someone like you exists and that you should be here in our bedroom, that we should share a bedroom at all. It's unreal and the most fulfilling life I could ever think to dream. I am tragically in love with you, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
End scene.
Yes.
It's just...
We could just end there. I'm happy with that. It's so good. So, and then he asks, how does time act on my birthday? It's malleable. Time works to Connor's will on his birthday. That's the way it's going to be. So then he's got something on his mind. He's ready for the sex. And he pulls off his belt. I think he pulls out a tie too. He's gonna blindfold her and then keep her wrists cuffed behind her back. And she's like, I'll even let you hit me with the belt. And he's like, no, that's not gonna happen. What she wants is not to be blindfolded. She wants to see, there is something that she wants to witness Connor seeing, and she doesn't want to be blindfolded for that.
Right.
So he's like, give me a compromise. And she's like, I'll let you hit me with the belt. And he's like, no. We're not going to do that.
You can gag me with the tie.
Yeah, there's the compromise.
Okay.
So then he starts undressing her. He pulls her dress down, and he can see her underwear. I love this, so we saw in Addicted After All that Daisy had bought underwear from a merch shop online, and they all said I love, and then insert the guys' names.
Right.
And Lily and Daisy both wore theirs at this charity function, and Rose never let Connor see. So she is currently wearing I Love Connor Cobalt underwear, and she is witnessing his reaction. She's like, stop smiling. No, smile all you want. It's just so good. There's even a lipstick print beside his name. He's very turned on by this. So he leaves the underwear on, and then they have sex like that. And he goes, since time is malleable, this will last until I've watched you come so many times you pass out. Connor Cobalt, man that you are.
Let's make this real.
Yes, truly. So they continue. She's like, she's like, how long? Rose is getting worn out, and he's like, until you pass out. And eventually they wind up in the bathtub together, kind of unwinding after everything.
Mm-hmm.
He says, thank you. And she goes, that must have been the best sex you've ever had. And he goes, it wasn't about the sex. You tried harder yesterday to please me more than you ever had. And I've never wanted to miss out on rare moments in life. And every year with you on my birthday, I've been escaping one. That was perfect. And then I'm tragically in love with you too. But this constant thing of them bringing up tragedy. And I'm over here like, stop it. I don't want to hear about this tragedy. We're not tragically in love. We are just happily in love. We are in our blissful bubble. So then now it's chapter 24. Rose and Connor are in the bathroom, and they're discussing that they don't have time for something. But basically, they're trying to... Rose needs to give Connor a hickey.
Yeah.
They are about to go to the hospital because Reich is going to be doing his liver transplant surgery to help Jonathan, his dad.
I still can't believe he did that.
Reich is just... He's a better person than a lot of us.
Yes.
Truly. But Rose doesn't know how to give a hickey. She's like, teenagers give each other hickeys. Stupid, idiotic, hormone-induced teenagers.
The amount of hickeys I've seen on my daughter is actually horrific. I'm like, are you guys dumb?
So yeah, she doesn't know. She wants to like give Connor a fake hickey, and he's like, I mean, yeah, the media will the photographers will take a picture of that, but the viewers will be able to dissect and tell that it's a fake hickey. Like this needs to be very real. So Connor is gonna teach her how to give a hickey by giving her a hickey first.
Right.
And then she does it, and she gets very distracted. Like she's getting turned on while he's doing this. So it's basically do what you feel, and she successfully gives Connor a hickey, but it's a very quick chapter.
Ugh, I hate hickeys. I can't believe, I mean, out of all the things they did, a hickey. It is so juvenile. That's the thing. And it's so, everything they've been doing is out of character, but a hickey?
Yeah, I have to wonder too. I can't remember if it's mentioned that get Connor photographed with red welts on his neck. Was this something, like we're talking about it being childish, was this something that Celebrity Crush requested? Like, we want photographs of you with hickeys. The way that they, like, are they requesting these specific scenarios? Or is this
is there like a checklist that they have to...
Yeah, and if it's something that they were told to do, like, we want a photograph of you guys with a hickey.
Right.
I'm just like, that makes me more mad that it's like they want them to appear childish and hormonal.
Right, and they have to like stoop to that level.
Yes. If that's the case, I don't like that. That makes me angry.
Same. It's weird.
Yeah, it is. All right. So we're going to conclude part 2 of the Feel the Fire discussion here. And until next time, continue to stay addicted to Krista and Becca's writing like us.